I just found out I'm not even on the wedding invitations. 10 years of raising this girl and my name isn't anywhere on the paper. I'm Cole, 45M, own a construction company in Denver. Been with my girlfriend Maren, 42F, for 10 years. Her daughter Sable, 20F, was 10 when I came into their lives. Bio dad Dylan took off when she was 3. Showed up maybe twice a year for birthdays when he remembered. Never paid a dime of child support. I did everything a father does. School pickups, soccer games, homework help, taught her to drive, paid for her car, paid for her college, $40,000 over 4 years. Let her live at home rent-free while she figures out her career path. Never once asked for a thank you because that's what dads do. 8 months ago, Sable got engaged to her boyfriend. Nice kid, decent family. I was happy for her. Told her I'd pay for the wedding as my gift. Figured $30,000 would cover a nice ceremony. That number became $50,000 real fast. Venue upgrade. Better catering. Photographer she saw on Instagram. Videographer. Live band instead of DJ. Every conversation was, "Dad, I found something even better." And I kept saying yes because I wanted her day to be special. Yesterday, I asked Maren for the guest list. Weddings in 2 months. I wanted to make sure my guys from work were on there. I've got about 20 people I wanted to invite. Employees, old friends, people who've known me for decades. Maren got quiet. Said she'd have to check with Sable. That was my first red flag. Sable came home from her fiancé's place around dinner. I asked her about the guest list, specifically my 20 people. She wouldn't look at me. "Dad, we're already at 250 guests. The venue maxes at 275. There's really no room. No room for 20 people when I'm paying for everything." It's not like that. It's just, Jake's family is huge, and Mom has her side, and we had to make hard choices. So none of my friends made the cut. We kept the list to close family and our friends. Your work people don't really know me. I let it go. Figured I'd talk to her later when I'd cooled down. Then this morning, Maren left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. The wedding website was up. I wasn't snooping. It was right there, screen glowing, practically begging to be read. The invitation design was on screen. Beautiful, fancy calligraphy. Cream-colored background, gold lettering, very expensive looking. Together with their parents, Maren Hayes and Dylan Reeve, Sable Quinn and Jake Morrison invite you to celebrate their wedding. Dylan Reeve, the deadbeat who abandoned her at 3 years old. The man who missed 17 years of her life. His name on the invitation, listed as her parent. My name nowhere, not even mentioned. Not in Cole Brennan, not with special thanks to. Nothing. I don't exist. I scrolled through the website with shaking hands. Found the Our Story section. Talked about Sable's childhood, her parents, how she grew up in Denver. My name wasn't mentioned once. 10 years of raising her, 10 years of being there every single day, and I don't exist in her narrative. Like I was never there at all. Found the ceremony details. The bride will be escorted down the aisle by her father, Dylan Reeve. Her father, Dylan Reeve. The man who missed every school event, every birthday after she turned 8, every milestone. The man who's seen her maybe 15 times in 17 years. He's walking her down the aisle. At the wedding I'm paying $50,000 for. I closed the laptop and went to my home office. Sat there for 2 hours trying to process what I was feeling. Hurt doesn't cover it. Betrayal doesn't cover it. When Maren came home from grocery shopping, I asked her about it. She immediately got defensive. "Cole, it's her wedding. She gets to decide these things. She gets to decide to put the deadbeat's name on invitations I'm funding. Dylan is her biological father. That matters to her. And what am I? The ATM? That's not fair. You know she loves you. She loves my money. She loves what I provide. But apparently Dylan is her real dad when it counts." Maren started crying. Said I was being cruel. Said Sable had complicated feelings about Dylan, and this was her way of healing their relationship. Said I should be bigger than this, and not make her wedding about my ego. My ego. I've spent $40,000 on her education. I'm spending $50,000 on her wedding. I've raised her for a decade. And wanting acknowledgement is about my ego? I told Maren I needed to think about whether I wanted to continue funding this wedding. She went pale. You can't do that. The deposits are already paid. We'd lose everything. I'll lose $50,000 either way. At least if I stop now, I'll save some of it. Cole, please. This will destroy her. She destroyed something too. She just doesn't know it yet. I've been in my office all day. Sable called twice. I didn't answer. Maren has been crying in the bedroom. My phone keeps buzzing with texts from both of them. I don't know what to do. Part of me says I'm overreacting, that weddings are emotional, and daughters have complicated relationships with absent fathers. Part of me says I've been a wallet for 10 years, and I'm just now seeing it clearly. Update 1. I did something last night that probably can't be undone. Not sure I want it undone. After my post, I spent 2 days trying to have reasonable conversations with Maren and Sable. Tried to explain why it hurt to be excluded. Tried to understand their perspective. Got nowhere. Sable's defense was that Dylan had been making an effort lately. He'd called her 3 times in the past 6 months, and sent her a birthday card. 3 phone calls and a card apparently outweighs 10 years of daily presence. Maren's defense was that I needed to be the bigger person and understand that Sable has trauma around her father's abandonment that she's working through. Apparently honoring the man who abandoned her is therapy now. I asked one simple question. If Dylan is so important that he's walking her down the aisle, is Dylan paying for any of this? Silence. Then Sable said, Dad, he can't afford to contribute, you know that. So he gets the honor and I get the bill. It's not about money, it's about healing. Healing on my dime. That conversation ended badly. Sable called me selfish for making her wedding about me. Maren accused me of financially manipulating them. I went to sleep in the guest room. Then yesterday, Dylan showed up. Maren had arranged a family dinner without telling me. Said she wanted everyone to clear the air before the wedding. I came home from work to find Dylan Reeves sitting at my kitchen table, drinking my beer, chatting with my stepdaughter like they were old friends. Dylan is exactly what you'd picture. 43 years old, looks 55, weathered from years of sporadic construction work when he bothered to work at all. Charm oozing from every pore. I recognized it immediately as the same charm that probably got Maren pregnant 20 years ago. He stood up when I walked in, extended his hand. Cole, man, good to finally really meet you. I've heard so much about you. I didn't shake his hand, just looked at Maren. What is this? I thought if we all sat down together. You invited him into my house without telling me. Dylan jumped in. Hey, I don't want any trouble. I'm just here for my daughter. Trying to make things right before her big day. Your daughter. The one you abandoned at 3. Cole, Maren started. No. I want to hear this. Dylan, tell me about being her father. Tell me about the school plays, the soccer games, the homework, the driving lessons, the college applications. Tell me about any of it. Dylan's charm flickered. Look, I wasn't perfect. I had problems, but I'm here now. You're here for the wedding I'm paying for. That's between you and Maren, man. I'm just trying to be there for Sable. Sable spoke up. Dad, please, can we just have dinner? For me? She called me Dad. First time in days. Manipulation, I realized. She uses it when she wants something. I sat down. Maren brought out food she'd clearly spent hours preparing. We ate in tense silence for a while. Then Dylan started telling stories about Sable as a toddler, the few years he was actually present. Sable was eating it up, laughing at his jokes, looking at him like he hung the moon. That's when something broke in me. I stood up, raised my glass. I'd like to make a toast. Everyone looked at me with various degrees of concern. To Dylan, the real dad. The man who's going to walk Sable down the aisle at the wedding I've funded. The man whose name is on the invitations I paid for. The man who's been honored in every way while I've been systematically erased from my own stepdaughter's story. Cole. Maren tried to interrupt. No, I'm not done. I've been thinking a lot about what being a real dad means. Is it biology? Because that's all Dylan contributed. DNA and 3 years of presence before disappearing. Or is it the man who was actually there? The one who paid for everything, showed up for everything, sacrificed for everything? Sable was crying now. You're ruining this. No, sweetheart. You ruined it when you decided my money was good enough but my presence wasn't. When you put his name on invitations but not mine. When you gave him the honor of walking you down the aisle while expecting me to just write checks. I looked at Dylan. You want to be the real dad? Be my guest. Pay for the wedding too. Pay for the college I already covered. Pay for the car, the insurance, the life I've provided for 10 years. Then I looked at Maren. And you. You let this happen. You enabled it. You expected me to just accept being treated like an ATM because I should be bigger than this. Well, I'm done being bigger. I'm done being used. I left my own dinner table, went upstairs, started packing a bag. I'd stay at a hotel for a few days, figure out next steps. When I came back downstairs, all three of them were still at the table. Sable was sobbing. Maren was pale. Dylan was looking at his phone like he wanted to be anywhere else. I'm transferring money out of the joint account tomorrow, I said to Maren. Anything that's legitimately yours, we can figure out later. But the wedding fund is mine, and it's going back into my business account. Cole, please. The real dad can figure out how to pay for his daughter's wedding. I'm done. I left, stayed at a hotel near my job site. This morning I called every vendor and started the cancellation process. Some deposits are non-refundable. Most are willing to work with me once I explain the situation. Total losses so far. About $8,000 in non-refundable deposits. I'll take that hit. It's cheaper than $50,000 for a wedding where I'm treated like the help. Maren has called 23 times. Sable has sent long texts apologizing, promising to fix things, begging me to reconsider. Dylan, predictably, has gone silent. I don't know what comes next. 10 years with Maren. 10 years of raising Sable. All of it burning down because they couldn't treat me with basic respect. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should have handled it privately instead of making a scene. But I'm tired of being the one who always compromises, always understands, always foots the bill while getting none of the credit. Some respect would have been free. They chose not to give it. Update 2. Morning after my toast, I went to the bank, transferred everything from the joint account into my personal business account. Left exactly $500, enough to cover any automatic payments that might hit while we figured things out. That afternoon, I got a call from my bank's fraud department. Someone had tried to write a check from the joint account for $35,000. The check bounced because the funds weren't there. It was Marin. She'd written a check to the wedding venue to lock in the remaining balance before I could cancel. She tried to steal $35,000 from me. When I called her, she tried to justify it. Said she was protecting Sable's wedding from my emotional tantrum. Said the money was ours, even though I earned every cent of it. Said I was financially abusing them by withdrawing funds I'd deposited. I told her to get out of my house. She argued that she'd lived there for 8 years, that she had tenant rights. I told her I'd start formal eviction proceedings if she wanted to do it the hard way. She chose the easy way. Moved out 2 days later. Took Sable with her. They're staying with Jake's family now. The groom's parents are apparently more sympathetic to the Cole is a monster narrative they're spinning. My house is quiet now. After 10 years of noise, it's weird. The vendor cancellation process has been interesting. Most of them were understanding once I explained the situation. The wedding planner actually said she'd seen this pattern before. Step-parents funding weddings but being treated like outsiders. She refunded my full deposit out of sympathy. The venue was the biggest loss. $12,000 non-refundable deposit. They held firm even when I explained. Contract is a contract. The caterer, photographer, florist, band, all willing to work with me on partial refunds. Total money recovered. About $26,000 out of the $38,000 I'd already paid. Total losses. Approximately $12,000. I can live with that. I've spent more on worse things. Sable reached out 3 days ago. Long email, not text. I'll summarize. She apologized for how things were handled. Said she never meant to make me feel unimportant. Said Dylan had been making real efforts, and she wanted to give him a chance to be part of her life. Said she still considers me her dad, in all the ways that matter. But she didn't apologize for the invitations. Didn't offer to change the ceremony. Didn't acknowledge that excluding my friends while maxing out the guest list with her mother's side was disrespectful. Didn't address the fundamental issue. She wanted my money, but not my presence. I wrote back one line, "I wish you well, but I'm not funding a wedding where I'm treated as an ATM rather than a father." That's my final answer. She responded with anger, called me petty and spiteful, said I was punishing her for loving her biological father, said I was proving that I only cared about her when I could control things. I didn't respond to that one. Marin has been texting daily. Alternates between apologizing and threatening. Says I owe her for 10 years of partnership. Says she'll take me to court for common law marriage rights. We're not married and Colorado's common law requirements are specific. I checked with a lawyer. Says I'm destroying our family over wedding planning disagreements. It wasn't a disagreement. It was erasure. There's a difference. Dylan, as expected, has vanished. Hasn't reached out to Sable since the dinner, according to what Jake's mom told a mutual friend. Real dad returned to his regularly scheduled absence. The wedding is apparently still happening. Scaled way down. Jake's family is helping cover costs. They're looking at a cheaper venue, smaller guest list, no live band. Sable is reportedly devastated about losing her dream wedding. Part of me feels bad about that. I did want her to be happy. I did love her like a daughter. But love without respect is just exploitation. I was being exploited. Now I'm not. My house is quiet. My bank account is healthier. And for the first time in 10 years, I don't feel like I'm working just to fund other people's dreams while my own get sidelined. Final update. The wedding happened about 3 months after everything blew up. Courthouse ceremony, small reception at a community hall. Jake's parents paid for most of it. Maybe 60 guests total. Dylan was supposed to walk her down the aisle. He didn't show. Disappeared a week before the ceremony. Stopped returning calls, texts, everything. Same pattern as always. Shows up when it's convenient. Vanishes when commitment is required. Sable was devastated. Waited an extra 20 minutes at the courthouse hoping he'd appear. Jake's father eventually walked her down instead. I heard she cried through most of the ceremony, and not happy tears. I wasn't there. Wasn't invited. Wasn't welcome. For a while, I felt vindicated. The real dad showed his true colors exactly when it mattered most. Everything I'd said at that dinner was proven right. But vindication doesn't feel as good as I thought it would. The first year was rough. Marin tried multiple times to get money from me. Lawyer letters, threats. Even showed up at my business once making a scene. My attorney handled most of it. Colorado doesn't have common law marriage the way she thought it did. She had no legal claim to my business or assets beyond what she'd brought into the relationship, which was nothing. She's working retail now. Lives with her sister. We haven't spoken in over a year. Sable reached out 6 months after the wedding. Different tone this time. Less angry, more sad. Said she was sorry for how everything happened. Said she understood now why I was hurt. Said Dylan had disappeared again and she finally realized he would always be unreliable. She asked if we could talk. Maybe repair things. I thought about it for a long time. Part of me wanted to say yes. 10 years of raising someone doesn't just evaporate. But I realized something. She was reaching out because Dylan failed her, not because she truly valued what I'd given. I was the backup, the reliable one, the ATM that also provided emotional stability when the exciting parent let her down. I wrote her back and said I wished her well, but I wasn't interested in being the fallback parent. I'd given 10 years of primary presence and gotten erasure in return. I couldn't go back to that dynamic. She didn't respond. Her marriage lasted about 18 months. Heard through the grapevine that they divorced. Financial stress, apparently. Turns out weddings paid for by in-laws come with strings attached, and those strings eventually strangled the relationship. She's working retail now, too, living with Jake's parents while she gets back on her feet. She reached out again after the divorce. Asked if I could help with first month's rent on an apartment. Just a loan. She'd pay it back. I declined. Politely, but firmly. Said I wasn't in a position to provide financial assistance. She called me every name in the book. Said I was proving that I never really loved her. Said I was just like Dylan, abandoning her when she needed me. That one stung. But I realized the accusation told me everything I needed to know. In her mind, love equals money. If you love someone, You give them money. If you stop giving money, you never loved them. That's not love. That's a transaction. And I'm done being someone's transaction. 2 years later, here's where I am. Business is thriving, construction is booming in Denver, and my company has grown significantly. I bought a lake house about 6 months ago, fishing on weekends, quiet, peaceful. Dating a woman named Val I met through a business networking event. She owns an electrical contracting company. We understand each other. Both built businesses from nothing. Both have complicated pasts with family. Both value respect over obligation. She knows my whole history with Sable and Marin. Told her everything on our third date because I figured she should know who she was getting involved with. Her response: "You did more than most biological fathers do. They took it for granted. That's on them, not you." First time someone validated what I felt without trying to convince me to reconcile. I don't hate Sable. I don't even hate Marin. But I learned something important through all of this. You can love someone and still need to protect yourself from them. You can raise someone for a decade and still have them treat you as disposable. Blood isn't thicker than behavior, but neither is history. Some people will only ever see you as what you can provide. When you stop providing, you stop existing to them. That's not a relationship, that's a service agreement.